Another one, role play call. I am so excited today. We got Oscar Contreras. He is a beast. He's an animal here to teach us how to copy repeat. If you like the word tracks, if you like his style, please guys, this business is very simple. It's about copy repeating. Go back and watch this video 20 times, shower with it, listen to your car, because this guy is incredible. And just thank you so much for joining us today. Oscar, how you been?
Good, good. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Looks like you're in a pretty executive suite over there.
Yep, just the penthouse here at WeWork.
Got the penthouse. All right, couple quick questions, man. How long you been in business for?
Almost 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. And when you first started, were you rock star your first week?
No, definitely not.
How long did it take you before you sold your first policy?
First day.
First day. Wow.
Does that count?
That counts, man. That's impressive. Okay. And then what's the most amount of families you've protected in a month? What's your record month?
60.
60 families, guys. 60 families a month. That is incredible. How about for the week? What's your record week?
Week 20.
20 in a week, guys. That is incredible. And then how much are you spending weekly on leads?
1,500 at least. I could do as much as about 2,000 a week.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So $1,500 is how you get to 60 families, 20 families a week, guys. So pretty, if you spend more money, you have more opportunities. If you're like scratching your head and going, you know, it's kind of weird. I don't get it. I'm only making 5,000 a month. Well, let's see how much are you spending on leads. You're like, well, I'm only putting in like $200 a week. It's probably why, right? So what do you think is, if you had to look back at, you know, your slow start, you know, your 2.5 years of experience, what do you think is the number one mistake that new agents make?
Well, if you're a new agent and you come from a W-2 job, the first mistake is that you treat this like a job. And, you know, the second mistake is we shy away and we basically, our whole job here is to find the best lead sources. And I think that what happens sometimes is we try to play favorites. And if one lead vendor doesn't do us good, we think the whole business doesn't work. So playing favorites with leads, definitely, it's one of the mistakes.
Can you explain that further? What do you mean by playing favorites? Like, you think you should have a portfolio with a lot of different type of leads, or
yeah.
Okay, so try them all out, see which ones work better for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because what happened to me is in the beginning, we had a lead vendor for mortgage protection retro. And so that's why I think I did so good, is that I had my upline just gave me all the Spanish leads or leads that he couldn't talk to. And I just started calling those, and I only did those. And then once those stopped, I you know, it took me about a month to really get in the flow of other types of leads. So not just mortgage protection, not just final expense, not just CRM. You got to have a Rolodex of 4 or 5 vendors you can go to at any time and pull leads.
I love it. I love it. And spending, you know, if you spend $1,500, whatever it is, eventually it's all going to work out. Sometimes you get some bad batches, some good batches. But you know, you're going to get in front of some people by spending and investing in your company. What would you say is to the people that are successful, compared to the ones that are not, you know, like yourself? What are some things that the successful people are doing here at FFL that maybe the unsuccessful people are not?
Basically, this is not life insurance business. I think that selling life insurance is like a secondary thing. We are in a leads business. So if you've never done this before, it's cool how we have all these leads, but if you've done anything like this before, you understand that leads are everything. So when you're adding all these different lead vendors, the only thing you're doing is adding different, you know, more tools to your toolbox.
I love that. I love that. Yep. And you can't make money without investing, and that's life. Whether you want to go to college, spend 80 grand, when you go to trade school, when they want to start a business, when they throw some money in some Bitcoin, you know, you got to spend money to make money. That's how you level up in life. So the more you invest in yourself with time and money on leads, then the more money you're gonna make. It's just that simple. It's not rocket science. Everyone's making great money, just spending more, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
So what leads? I know you've done some live transfers, correct?
Correct.
And then right now you're also purchasing some CRM leads. Is that correct?
Uh, Sort of. I do CRM every now and then. I don't do as much CRM as I used to since I went full virtual. You know, needless to say, when I started this, you can still totally do a hybrid system where you call your own leads and you're basically your own live agent transfer system. And so just because someone's not transferring you a lead doesn't mean you can't pick up the CRM, start calling a few leads, and be, doing what I call one call closes, where, normally you go and set that appointment to go visit them at home. When I decided to go virtual, I just said, hey, I'm going to just close them on the phone. And if I can't get them right there, I'll follow up with them.
Okay. And then, so what are you doing mostly live transfers in right now?
Primarily, yes. So on any given day, I wake up, I get my workflow going. I've got my leads that I'm going to call, but I've also got my live transfers turned on in the background. So usually I've got a dual screen system here. And so what happens usually is I'll get a call right away while I'm working on, some certain lead or something. And that'll let me close them while I'm talking to multiple clients at the same time. So I'm not just calling, I'm also waiting for live transfers. I'm calling leads. I'm constantly staying busy.
And then what type of leads? So I'm guessing you have one company for the transfer turned on, or a couple companies, or what?
Yeah. So I've got right now I've got two primary ones, a data lot and all web leads. And if you guys have gone to fflvirtualsales.com, you know that we have the password there, and you access that, and that'll give you a link to go to all the lead vendors for all this.
I love it. I love it. Okay. And then how much do you pay average for a live transfer typically?
Between 60 and 100. So yes, that is scary. You're paying $100 a lead, and if you don't sell them, you could have gone shopping or something, right? Whatever it is that you tell yourself. The way I look at it is I'm going to spend 1,000 on leads anyway. By the time I've spent 1,000 on live transfers, I've closed at least. So what that means is I'll probably get like 9 or 10 live transfers for that same $1,000 that I spent on live transfers. But I would have closed the same or maybe a little bit less if I would have just bought straight one type of lead. So what I'll do is I'm prepared to do about $250 to $500 per day in live transfers. So I'll probably get 3 to 5 per day. I'll probably close 2 to 3. And so that workflow that I've gotten used to has allowed me to pick up some momentum. And on top of that, when I first started this, Ariel, who's on the call, my girlfriend, she started strictly one call closing while I was strictly virtual live transfers. And so we both had mixed results. And so we found that the best thing to do is to mix up your live transfers on standby. And, you have to get your workflow going. Like I have 2 computer screens. On one screen, I'm ready to go at any given moment. And on the other screen, I'm working on calling leads, and I got my workflow going there. So that's how I work.
Nice. Okay. And that's for the leads that you're calling. What leads are you using? Are you buying off the CRM? Are you doing some final expense? Are you doing some more rejection mailers? Are you doing some age mailers? What are we working with? Or
so, blend of everything. I'm not gonna, like I said, don't play favorites, but I do sort of like certain type of lead better. I've been on the CRM forever, and I'm not going to talk smack about any leads because all leads work. I'm just going through a vendor called Nectar. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of them before. They have a website landing page. It's lifeinsurance.net. So I know that my clientele has a higher intent when I use those leads. So AWL also has leads. So I consider them to be sort of like instant internets, but with a little bit higher intent. And so these Nectar leads, the biggest client I've ever closed has been off of a client in Hawaii that I got from Nectar. So, but now I'm using Nectar only because the way I have my workflow, I don't need to buy as many leads. So that means I'm doing less styling with higher intent clients. If I'm using just a CRM, like some some weeks out of the month, I'm just like, hey, I'm just going to call all CRM leads. We got some discount codes with the work spots and everything. I'm just going to call about 300 leads. I'll close a good percentage of those. So whether it's CRM leads or some other internet vendor, you can't stop buying internet leads only because you have live transfers on. I've done only live transfers. I think, what was it, like January, only live transfers I did. And, I was cruising. I was answering the phone whenever I wanted and talk to whoever I wanted. But when I really started turning it up, is when I started implementing internet leads along with my live transfer system.
And just as a disclaimer, guys, so we're going to do 2 role plays here. We're going to do copy and repeat. We're going to do one for the live transfers, kind of hear how that goes. And then we'll do one for if you're dialing some leads, how you set up your one call close. We're not going to break character, so people can write down some word tracks and go back and rewatch this lots of times and become a pro like you. So thanks for doing this, Oscar. It's not break character. Who do you want me to be on the live transfer? Do you want to be like an elderly couple? Do you want to be a young couple? What do you want? What do you want?
Let's do an elderly couple.
Okay, so I'll be like 65. And okay. All right. So how does the live transfer work? How does it usually get set up?
So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to share my screen here.
There it is. Okay. See it now.
Don't call this guy, please. He's my client. Okay. Anyway, so when the live transfer comes in, it comes in through the lead system here. So this is AWL system. What I do right away, even if I'm going to close them or not, I just highlight all this and I copy it into a notepad thing that I have here through Google Keep. I'm not sure if you guys have ever used it, but it's great. It's a note type thing where you can see it across different platforms. And so here's where I take notes. And this is where the conversation starts for me. So you're going to be in. So right now, I'm assuming that you're Mr. Raymond and whatever. This is your information here.
Okay.
And you're coming in a live transfer. The live transfer lady introduces you. She's already asked a few questions to knock out potential interested people or not. So by the time that you're on my line, all I do is I say, hey, hello, is this Ryan?
This is Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Good. Thanks for asking. This is quick. I normally don't take longer than 15 minutes. And so I appreciate you taking the time today. What has you looking at life insurance today?
Just looking into it.
Okay. Gotcha. And I'm sure they already asked you. I just want to verify your birthday is 4/8/64. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so what I do right away is you got to let the client know that you're following along the same way you would if you were doing something very official on the phone. You're verifying a lot of things, and that makes sure that there's no errors and allows the client to know that you're serious. So after I verified. Yep.
So let's start over, Oscar. So let's go the whole way through and not.
Oh, sorry, I broke character.
Yeah. So
okay.
Let's get the flow of it. All right. So hello.
Yeah. So your birthday is Raymond. Hi. How's it going?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, Raymond. Thanks for asking. I just want to verify your birthday. I have you is 4/8/64. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And so I'm looking at here that you have no medical issues. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so I appreciate you taking the time to look at the life insurance today. I am a licensed underwriter for the state of Hawaii. And so what that means is not only do I play the hat of a medical underwriter, but I also will help you find the companies that will accept you based off of your age, health, and budget. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Great. And is this a correct contact number ending in 7286 in case we get disconnected?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And are you comfortable, Raymond, if I text you my credentials real quick? I can send you my business card and my state license.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't receive it right now, it might come in when we hang up. So real quick, Raymond, what has you looking into insurance today?
I'm gonna go a little generic on you and see how you react. Just looking into it.
Just looking into it. Okay. And when you say you're looking into it, is it something that you've been looking into for a while, or am I the first person you talk to?
I looked into it a while back and then ended up not getting a policy. So yeah, I haven't talked to anybody for the last like 3 years or so.
Okay, perfect. And so it's been about 3 years. And so what exactly is it that you're looking for? Because if you've already done this, there must be something that's got you looking into life insurance. Was it something that happened to you, or is it just you trying to cover your basic final expenses if something were to happen?
Yeah, I just thought, my kids and thought maybe I should maybe look into it. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna die anytime soon, but to kind of look and see if the cost is, see if it's affordable.
Okay.
Make sure I guess, leave some money for the kids, cover any kind of funeral stuff.
Okay. And so how many kids do you have?
I got three.
Three. And I imagine that one of them would be the primary beneficiary, or would it be a spouse?
Um, yeah, it'd be one of those. Can I give all three of them some money?
Definitely. Yeah, I'll go over those details. I just wanted to make sure that there was a beneficiary for these plans. It has to be someone close to you. And so what we're going to look at here are a few different options. Primarily at the end of the day, Raymond, I just want to make sure that we establish the fact that we are looking for just at least bare bones funeral coverage, whether it's a cremation or burial. Have you thought about doing cremation or burial?
I guess, I mean, if it's up to me, I mean, I just get buried in the backyard.
Same here. But that's likely not what's going to happen. And most folks in this scenario, what ends up happening is the family ends up coming out of pocket for anywhere between as little as 4 grand all the way up to 15, 20 grand for a burial. And so if you haven't thought about it previously, I just want to let you know that's how much it costs. So what would be uh, the situation? Likely burial, right? You're in Hawaii.
Yeah, likely, probably. Yeah, probably cremation. I'll probably do cremation.
Cremation, gotcha. And do you have anything right now that acts like insurance or life insurance, like savings, 401k,
Um, yeah, I have a small 401k that,
small 401k?
yeah, that I got when I retired.
Gotcha. And so your wife would get that if something happened?
Yeah, I'm not married right now.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. And so somehow your kids would have to get that. So needless to say, if something were to happen to you, the initial brunt of your passing would fall immediately to your children. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, if you don't have anything in savings, even if you did, if they're not on your accounts, all of that has to go to probate. So that's why most of my clientele are looking for something between 10 and 20 grand to really brunt the force of a passing. Now, anything above and beyond the initial final expenses coverage that you're looking for would be considered a gift. So um, that's a good thing. And let me just ask you some more medical questions, and I'll go into what your total amount of coverage could be. Okay.
Okay,
See what is your height and weight? Is it 5'9", 220?
that's it. Yep.
Correct. Okay. Do you have any high blood pressure medications at all?
Yes.
Okay. Is it by any chance losartan, lisinopril, anything like that?
It's amlodipine,
Amlodipine. Okay.
metoprolol. I think it's called that.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And so, all right, sir. And anything for diabetes?
Yes, I'm taking insulin.
Insulin. Gotcha. And have you had any complications from diabetes? Any retinopathy, neuropathy, anything like that?
Uh, no neuropathy, no,
Okay.
no complications.
Anything else? Are you taking medications for asthma,
Uh,
COPD, depression?
no, I think I have like a acid reflux med, and restless leg and gout.
Gotcha. Okay. No problem at all. And what are you taking um, for the, no, actually, no, I'm not going to ask you about that. Perfect. And have you ever taken any cholesterol pills?
I think I'm on a statin. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, it's a statin.
Okay, great. Any recent hospitalizations, anything serious?
I did have a heart attack about like 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Gotcha. Okay. Not a problem at all. It usually heart attacks. It's probably the most serious thing that's happening. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd have to say, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's usually when you started looking at life insurance is about 2, 3 years ago, considering that you might, might pass someday.
Yep, exactly. I just thought it might be a little too expensive.
Gotcha. No problem. I'll look at some options for you here, sir. So, what I'm going to look at, according to what you've told me, I'm going to look at a few different options, starting with the lowest carrier. And so, what I'll do is, do you have a pen and paper handy?
Yep, got it.
Okay. I want you to write down my name. It's Oscar Contreras. My state license number is 12345 6.
Okay.
And my phone number is 702-333 quadruple three. And that's my direct contact information. And so in big numbers there, write down 40,000
Okay.
and then write down 20,000
Okay.
and then write 10,000.
Okay.
Now, the reason I give you these options is you can pick any amount in between. The premium that you pick, it's completely up to you. I don't pick it. I just want it to be for you, like the Netflix bill, something that you set it and you forget it. It doesn't have to be something that breaks the bank. So if for some reason the amount that you choose doesn't fit your budget, just let me know. I'll back up and say, hey, Oscar, that works for me, but yeah, I can't afford it. So let's find something a little bit less. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah.
Okay. And so 40,000, it's looking at like around 200 a month.
Okay.
And 20,000, it's looking about $100 a month.
Okay.
And 10,000 is about $50 a month.
Okay.
And 10,000 to me, in my opinion, sir, since you don't have anything right now that acts like life insurance, would be the bare minimum. And in this case, this is great for cremation. If you're looking to just be cremated, this will be plenty enough for a service earn, make sure that they don't come out of pocket for anything else. And so the 20,000 that I showed you, that amount is going to cover cremation plus a little bit extra for your kids, and you can split that 3 ways. And the 40,000 that I showed you, that's going to definitely cover all of that, plus leave a little bit of a legacy for them to, maybe they want to do something special, take a few months off of work to help them mourn, whatever it is. That's what would help. Which one of these would fit your budget better?
Probably the 20,000.
20,000. And so the way it works with the amounts is, if you have a conversation tonight with your loved ones, and after we submit the application, you decide that, hey, you want to do more coverage, I just want to let you know that this is set. It's not set in stone until about 30 days. And you can at any time just add more insurance. So, I hope to be your insurance guy from now on, even though we are doing this over phone. If you do have a conversation with your friends, family, and neighbor, just shoot them my business card and I'll be happy to help them and send you a referral. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. And so the way it works, Raymond, is I don't make the decision. The insurance companies make it. My main priority right now is to get you medically eligible for this. If I just tell you what these are without you actually qualifying, it's just a shot in the dark. So what we'll do right now is add an application, and what I'll do after the application is sent, I'll email it to you so you can verify it. It does make sure I want to make sure that it does match everything you told me, the beneficiaries, all the information. And then it takes about 2 to 14 business days for the insurance company to make a decision. And then once you're actually approved, that's when they draft the first payment. Now, after that first payment, you can actually choose the actual draft date. So it could be beginning, middle, or end of the month. And if you're on a fixed income, you can pick it, Social Security withdrawal.
Okay.
Now, do you have a checking or a savings you want this to come out of?
Do I have time to think on this? Can you call me back, or can I call you back?
See, that's great. What is it that you had to think about, Raymond? Because, from what you've told me, you've been looking for about 2 to 3 years. You had a heart attack 4 years ago. And with all due respect, Raymond, you're getting into your 60s here. It's only going to cost you longer. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you. I mean, so uh, let's just get this applied. If you change your mind, you have 30 days to think about it, Raymond. If this amount doesn't work for you, call me, let me know. We can always modify it. But right now, my main concern is getting you approved. If you decide you don't want to do this in about 30 days, I can just free look it. You have 30 days free look period from the insurance company at no obligation. They'll give you your premiums back. But I just want to make sure that if anything happened to you yesterday, your 3 kids don't have to come out of pocket for that. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I'm kind of feel a little uncomfortable giving out my banking information. Why do you have to have that right now to see if I'm approved?
That's fine. I'm the same way. Basically, with the banking information, it's required for the application simply because the insurance company wants to know that you're serious. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but the insurance company will invest in money into insuring you. So they want to know that you've got some skin in the game. And, if you're worried about security, just want you to know that my main concern is your security. If you're no longer my client, I can no longer be in business. So my main priority is to protect your identity. And it's if you do use a bank info or EFT, even if you were to give it out, I can't charge a checking account. Only other financial institutions can. So they want to make sure you actually have a bank from this to come out of, because they're going to be insuring you for the next 20 to 30 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that's making sense.
And what if, depending on where you opened your bank account, I can find the routing number for you. All I would need is for you to just grab your account number, and we'll get this application submitted. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Now we fill out the application. Now what?
What we'll do is, well, see, I do something a little different than everybody. Depending on the client, if it's an easy late, if it's like someone who's really healthy, like you were generally, I'll do an application with them live if it takes me about 10-15 minutes. But what I'm doing most of the time, because I'm taking live transfers, is I'm just gathering all the information. So social name, that might not work for everybody. It depends on how you are yourself. Because what I do is I let them know. I say, hey, Ray, you're going to get an email here. That email is going to have the application and everything that we did. I just need a signature from you. And it's going to ask you for a PIN, and that PIN is the last four of your social. Okay. And then that's when I go and I ask them about their social. And so I collect the information and I submit the application at the end of that day. It takes me about an hour or two to submit 2-3 applications. And if it's an easy client, has no medications, I'll just do Americo, Aetna, Mutual, whatever it is right then and there. But if it's somebody who has a few meds, because the last thing you want to do is to have them on the phone for another 30 to 40 minutes running through the application, tech issues, website's not working, underwriting's taking too long. And by this time, you almost completely lost the client. So this happened to me a lot in the beginning. So once I just focused on collecting the information and getting back to them later, uh, what ended up happening was they actually ended up taking my phone call more often than even my in-home clients did. And you have a lot of clients now who are chasing after you to make sure that the policy went through. And so I don't know, to me, doing this way really helps out my workflow. Yeah, sometimes I get a little backed up, but that just makes me work harder. So if sometimes I will find myself submitting policies during my workday, but you don't want to do that. You want to be making calls and taking live transfers throughout your workday.
Wow. Okay. So then, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you're getting all the information, you're filling out the application when they're not on the phone. You're doing the email signature and telling them that, hey, you're going to email signature. What about Americo? Don't you have to have 2 signatures?
Americo is all text now.
Okay. So you're just getting just the first code, and then you're letting them know you're going to need this to text you the second code, or how does that work?
what I'll do is I'll if it's an America policy, I'll do it with them on there. And the reason I say that is because when you know how America can be very picky, but if you've got somebody who you're underwriting who has just basic meds and you're pretty sure they're going to qualify, America is one of the quickest applications. So that's one of the ones that I'll do with them. I don't do much America right now because of that. You know, I'll rather just do like Aetna or something that's on this list, mutual, because I could just do it later. But like I had a client who was a smoker at age 74, and America loves smokers at an older age. So I had to do the America application now because I felt like the client was going to be hard to get a hold of later. So the older they are, the I would say pivot towards doing the application then and there, or go with the carrier that isn't going to require a lot of input from the client. For example, Aetna, Mutual, you can do digital signatures. A few of these, the rest of these are either signatures that you can email out or whatever. So it makes it easier. I haven't had very much issues with that. And so that goes to say, if you have a client who's dodging you, who just isn't picking up the phone to get that second signature if you need it or something, that's a red flag that the client's probably going to charge back. I've been doing this since October of last year. Every single time a client was not easy to get a hold of, it's usually a chargeback. So
Gotcha.
The more invested they are, the more invested you are, the easier it is. I have people that are like, hey, they blow me up. Hey, Oscar, I didn't get that email signature request. And I'm like, oh crap, my bad. So that's a good problem to have, because now you have clients waiting for the policies and eager to get to business with you.
This is interesting. So just to recap, you have somewhere to put all your data in. Do you have like a spreadsheet to make sure you're collecting everything you possibly need, or how do you know what you're going to need?
Can you guys see my screen here?
Yeah. So you're putting it all typing in here.
Yeah. So aside from this information here, I just need social and driver's license and banking account. Right. So everything else is on here. I've just done it so much that I already know what I need. So what I do secondary is, before I let the client go while I'm filling out the application, is I am asking the medical questions. So I do have another file that I bring up that has all the general medical questions for that carrier that I'm planning on going with. And so if, for example, some carriers have different questions, the last thing you want is to not underwrite it properly because you missed a question. So adding that step takes another 5 to 10 minutes to the presentation. But what it does also is it makes the client feel like you are actually an underwriter, because you are, but it actually involves them in saying, hey, they really want to know my health issues. And so I find it easier that way. If I just say, hey, okay, now we're going to go into the medical question part, bear with me. I know it's kind of annoying, but I have to ask you this. And by this time, the client's already sold. So they're already on board with doing all that.
Interesting. So doing the app later, you're going, hey, you're going to get an email. You do need to sign that so we can get it submitted to see if we can get you approved. Let me know. Do you say, let me know when you've done that, or you're just checking it later?
I'm checking it. And so what I do is, I'll have a reminder I'll do a follow-up here for the next day. If they, for some reason, haven't signed it, that means that A, they're not committed, and B, either they're having some trouble. And so I'll call them, I'll text them. And so if I just can't get a hold of them, that client was never going to be a good client to begin with. So that's how I do my business now, is I don't do much pushing, because when you're doing this virtually, when people want this, like they will be very willing to give you everything. And out of every 10 clients that I close, about 2 or 3 might've been like hard closes where I have to do a little bit more digging. Virtual is I like that virtually. I used to get a lot more no-shows, or people who used to not want to do business with me that right then and there when I was doing my in-home model. So now that I'm doing this, I have a streamlined follow-up system. So like, for example, Ingrid, I've been following up with her for almost 2 months now. And there are folks that I've been following up for months. And that one time that you call them, and as long as you have a good system like this one, it allows me to set reminders. It bugs me. And part of my workflow is checking, make sure getting those follow-ups closed. And so
How's that work? It's a notification that shows up in your notifications to call them, or does it auto call them or send them a text or?
So you can do all of that. I do have an automated follow-up text that says, "Hey, we just need your bank info," and people will respond with their picture of their check, or they'll text me back the routing number. "Oh, sorry, I forgot to give this to you." But what this does is it pops up as a follow-up on my screen on my dashboard here. So you'll be like, you can see here, I have a few follow-ups left today. And so you can say, "Hey, I got to call this guy back," and this is where I put notes. If the client's not too interested, I put not too interested, do a little digging. If the client's a lay down, then there's not much pushing and pulling.
Interesting. That's awesome, man. Guys, if you're loving what he's spitting here, please, guys, make a comment in the bottom. Oh, for Oscar. This is really interesting. Okay, cool. I love this. So yeah, can you take it off the screen share for a sec?
Yeah.
That was great. And the things I want to point out, guys, is that you can see that he's not pushy. He doesn't have like a slick voice, as he's just doing his job, right? And so when we go into making sales, and you can kind of add to this, Oscar, if we're needy and our perspective is like, man, I need to make a sale, man, I need to make a sale, you never make any sales. But his tonality the entire through was just a guy doing his job. Any of the rebuttals that I threw out regarding banking or thinking about it, nothing changed in his voice, still just standard protocol. So go back and listen to these word tracks. But what I want you guys to really pay attention to is his tonality is very relaxed and standard. And this is just my job. I could care less if you get a policy or not. But this is important to get. So, if you're going to get this or not. Anything you want to add to that about your style?
Yeah, man. As you guys already know, the majority of our clients, if they came in through a Facebook lead, like Happy Agents or something like that, or if it's a CRM lead, or if it's a life transfer, their name and numbers in the system, they're getting blown up everywhere. And they're getting blown up by people who might not be as skilled as you are by the time you make that call. So if you do show a little bit of indifference and say, "Hey, I help about 40 families a month. This makes no difference if you get this. I just want to make sure that we cover your family, whether you pick the $5 plan or the $5,000 plan." And then so the client understands. And so I've had a lot of clients tell me, "Hey, I've been blown up and you're the most chill guy I've talked to," only because I'm just coming from a place of informing them. I'm not trying to sell them anything. If they don't want to buy right on the spot, that's fine. Sometimes I'm like that too. I'll follow up with them, and I'm aggressive about my follow up. I'll change my number in Ringy. I'll call them for my cell phone, whatever it takes. If they ask me to follow up with them and say, "Hey, I'll be coming back in 3 days," I'll blow up their phone because they told me to. And so if they answer that phone, "Hey, you know what? I changed my mind." Great. Lead is resolved. Doesn't want it. I'll move on to the next client.
Okay. So if they really don't want to buy, you're not too pushy. You're like, okay, you want to follow up with you. And then it goes in your follow-up list.
Yeah. And my follow-up list is it's just like my dial list. It's actually it's a higher priority to me because these are people I already spoke with, and there's just something that I need to get from them in order to close it. And I've been straight up with people. I've been, "Hey, you don't have much to think about. You're on third base trying to hit a home run. Like, you're in your 60s now. You've waited 2 years." Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And then what about, and so sometimes it might be follow-ups for those people, in a telesales thing that don't want to give out their banking. You're like, "Okay, you want me to follow up with you? That's okay. Whatever you need to do, but we need that information, obviously, get this in place." Kind of like how you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I say, and I learned this from some guy on Instagram, but it's been working a lot recently, is when they say, "Hey, I want to think about it," or they say, "Hey, just send me this, send me that." I'm like, "Great, perfect, no problem. But what is it exactly that you're looking for?" Because whenever you get that, let me think about it, there's something that's missing. And so when you ask them straight up, "Great, no problem at all. So just so I know what to send you, what are you looking for exactly?" That question should open up the conversation into a trial close, because you're digging in a little bit more into, what is it that you're looking for? You want me to send you something, but what do you want to read? What is it that you're looking for in that piece of paper that's going to make you make a decision? And so when you know that, now you can come back and say, "Hey, well, just to make sure you understand, this is how the policy works. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah. And so now your follow-ups are less. Uh, when you say, hey, perfect, I'll send you the information. This is what you're looking for. Just so you know, I'm going to include this, but I'm going to call you back on this day. And I don't want you to think I'm blowing up your phone, but I want to make sure we take care of your family. And if you ask for permission to blow up their phone, like, don't answer on the first phone call to tell you if that's the case. And I've had that. Hey, Oscar, sorry, I know you did say I was going to follow up, and I did say I was going to think about it, but I don't want it anymore. Something changed. Great. Next.
And then I'm guessing your chargebacks have gone down quite a bit. And the reason why he's able to do this, guys, is he's investing more in leads. He has more people to talk to. So he's not worrying about it. It's like, hey, if I get a yes, great. If I get a no, no. He's invested a lot to where he can be chill. But for you guys, they're spending, $200 investing in your leads to talk to people. You're automatically going to have this perspective of, I need to sell everybody. And that tonality is going to come across, and the client's going to have pushback. I don't want to be sold, right? So he doesn't have to worry about it because he's investing enough that he's like, hey, I got numbers on my side. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a client. This client has his wife died a few months ago due to COVID complications. So he was very adamant about getting this policy. He was the kind of client that texted me and called me when he didn't get the signature email. And then, I was like, oh, great, this is a great client. And then he calls me up yesterday and says he got into a fight with his kids and he doesn't want to have the policy in place anymore. And I said, great, that's fine. I'm sorry to hear that. Some family dynamics, it's probably not a good policy for you to have to begin with. And so right away, within 3 hours, he sent me his neighbor as a referral. So, always do what's right with the client. And if they don't want it, they don't want it. This guy thought he wanted it until he didn't.
I love that. I love that approach. And it probably probably makes your job easier too, because you're not feeling like a scumbag that's trying to push people into stuff. You're a lot more relaxed and probably having more fun, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely hear more.
I love that. Love that. Okay. Well, let's do some role play on a one call close.
Okay, great.
Give an example on that. So let's just say you're dialing a life insurance lead. Maybe it's Nectar, CRM, million other sources we got, but let's do like a 40-year-old with some kids.
Great. How far do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, just do the whole thing until we get to the medical part.
Okay, great.
We know how the close goes because, guys, the opening's pretty much, you're just changing out mortgage protection, life insurance, final expense, and then the rest of it after the first 5 minutes is exactly the same as Oscar did before. So we'll do it a little bit different. We'll imagine it's a 40-year-old and we'll do the one call close, and it's a lead that you're calling and using your system, a dialing system to be more efficient with your dialing, right?
Correct. And
Okay.
so I use the ringing system, so it allows me to record the call or have anybody listen into the call as well. So keep that in mind. So ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Ryan?
This is Ryan.
Is this the same Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool?
This is the same Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool. Yeah, Blake Lively is my wife.
Awesome. That's awesome. My name's Oscar. I'm just calling back from the state underwriting department. We did get your request that you were looking for final expense life insurance coverage. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it's more looking at the life insurance stuff. It's in 45.
Gotcha. Not a problem. We do help you with all kinds of insurance. And just to verify here, sir, I do have your birth date, 4/8/1960 or 1970, whatever it is, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, great. And go ahead and grab a piece of paper. This is only going to take us about 10-15 minutes to figure out which company is going to accept you. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. And yeah, just just looking into it today, kind of seeing the costs and stuff.
That's fine. I'll help you with that. And just curious, what actually had you filling out the paperwork or the request? Is something happened recently where you needed something, or what's the situation?
No, just thought, hey, if it's affordable, it's kind of I'm looking at seeing if it's worthwhile to have. So it's kind of trying to get some costs and kind of take some time, think if maybe shop around, see what I can get as far as the lowest cost goes.
Gotcha. So if I could find you something that's low cost. You're willing to look at it then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. That's not a problem at all. My job essentially is to get you the most coverage for the least. What I'll do real quick is I just want to verify here. Um, you are still making about 65 grand a year, according to what you filled out.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So these plans, the way they're designed is they're non-medical. So you get to pick how much coverage you want. I don't. The only thing the only thing I'm supposed to do is collect and be the eyes and ears for these companies. So I'll be asking you a few medical questions real quick just to make sure that the insurance companies I'm looking at are willing to accept you. So that way we don't get any declines or any denials. I'm not sure if you knew this, but looking for life insurance, your health is actually what buys you life insurance. And being that you're 40, you're going to have a much easier time getting coverage, assuming that you're healthy. So I'll go into that right away. Do you have anything for diabetes, sir?
No.
Okay. Any medications for high blood pressure?
Yeah, I'm taking two.
Gotcha. Just two of them. And would you happen to know the names of them?
Yeah, the Cinepril and amlodipine.
Perfect. Do you want me to keep going, Ryan?
So basically, just kind of recap, it's gonna be back basically the same as before. I'm guessing, and you just give three options and say which one of these. What's that line? So do that real quick. Let's give the delivery of how you'd present your options. So you've asked the medical, you know he qualifies for, let's say, a John Hancock. Okay, term. Present the options.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Ryan, in order for me to really find out how much coverage you're looking for, they train us to really dig into your finances to find out, what exactly is your need. So, did you have a number off the top of your head you wanted to try to qualify for, or did you just want me to find out for you what your budget could get you?
Um, yeah, I was thinking maybe like 100, 200, 300, somewhere in there. Just kind of see what the cost is.
Gotcha. And just so you know, at your age, the reason why folks are getting this type of life insurance coverage primarily is for insurance, for income replacement reasons. So do you currently have a spouse?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And how much do you currently make? You said 65,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what this will do is this policy, if you were to choose 100,000, and I'll show you how much that is right now, this will do roughly about a year, almost 2 years worth of coverage for you after all the final expenses are paid. So what I'll show you is what 100,000 will do, what 200,000 will be, and then what 300,000 will be. Why? Because 100,000, like I said, is roughly about a year's worth of coverage for your wife and kids. So we're going to determine how much you could actually afford. And so I'm going to try to get you the most coverage in terms of years. So 300,000 is roughly going to be about 3 to 4 years of income replacement for you and your kids. And so that amount is whatever. And so then I'll go into that and then I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, this second amount, this will do roughly 2 to 3 years of coverage for you and your wife. So I take their income and you can do math however you want it to see, hey, this is how much you need. But the basic is how, like 1 or 2 years. Most people aren't thinking 10, 20 years that we're talking to. They're thinking 2, 3, maybe 1 year ahead of time. So when you realistically say, hey, you make 50,000 a year and you want to get $100,000 coverage, that's about 2 years worth of income replacement. Because there's very rarely any other reason why anybody needs over 100,000. It's if it's not 100,000, it's under that, which is final expense. So I let them know, hey, there is no wrong amount, there is no right amount for what we're looking for. It's only what you can afford or what you want to afford. Because if at the end of the day, if something happens to you, your wife and kids are looking for the most time. And so this insurance policy will buy them time, 3, 4 years of mourning, or maybe your wife gets back into work. So that's how I really dig into the amounts when it comes to term, because you'll have people that are stuck on 100,000, and if you don't give them 100,000, you lost them. You have to be able to take them down from that 100,000. It's like a psychological round number, 100K. So it doesn't have to be like that. It could be 50K, it could be 25K, but you haven't talked about budget yet. That's when you start digging into their budget. I'm going to look in for the most, for the least. So what's a roundabout ballpark figure you have for paying for this roughly? Okay, great.
Gotcha.
And then that's when I go into the pros and cons of term, but that's only if they ask me. I do ask them. I say, hey, do you know the difference between term and whole life? If they don't know the difference, I just explain term and I keep it there. If I know I'm going to recommend term. And if they're like, oh, but what's the other whole life? Well, that one's permanent. It's less coverage, but it does last for the end of your life. This is going to replace your income. And so what you can do, I mean, I've had clients like this, depending on income, you can set up a permanent plan and a temporary plan. So what I show clients is, hey, I can set up an IUL or a whole life plan for like 50, 40 bucks, whatever, that'll take over after that term policy kicks in. And so I top down sell if they don't like that combination because of how much it is per month. Because as a 40-year-old, you can get quite a bit of coverage for about 150 to 200 a month. And so that's what I show them. I say, hey, look, this policy after this 20-year term is up, you're getting a 20-year head start on a whole life policy. Because John, the majority of my clients are calling me at age 70 because their term policy expired. So do you want to be that guy, or do you want to just prepare ahead? Now, keep in mind that you are going to accumulate cash value. So worst comes to worst, you have everything you put into it. Does that make sense? Got it.
That is making sense. Yeah. This is great stuff. This is great stuff. Now, I want to ask you a couple quick questions. So
Yeah.
guys, go back, watch this, copy, repeat it. You know how many major special skills, right? You just talk and try to get them the right plan. And would you say that it's because you're so skilled? If you pick either or, do you think that the reason why you're successful is because you're so skilled at selling, or do you think the reason why you're successful is because of your work ethic and the amount you invest in your company?
I'd say the skill came about because of the work ethic, because I've done this so many times. I've heard almost every story you can say. At first, it's tough because even doing live transfers, I was like, what are we doing? Like some of these, like I want to see these people. But once I started closing enough deals, I started getting the hang of it. And I started bringing out more emotion in the call versus just acting like like a phone rep over the phone or something. So it's definitely repetition. It's definitely work ethic. And I only really work 30 to 40 hours a week. Like we don't work that much here. We make our own schedule.
Yeah, but you're consistent with your work schedule, and you're also consistent with investing to have enough people to talk to, correct?
Correct. Always. I feel lonely.
The skills come later. But
Exactly.
I just love your approach because is standard protocol, and it's not, you're not pushy at all, and you know the right questions to ask. And obviously you've watched enough training videos, and then that skill set kind of came in as you were still studying while you were working, and it kind of started to click and make some sense, right?
Yeah, it's like you got your script in front of you. You know, the beginning of your script is like you got the training wheels on. As you close 10, 20 deals, you take one training wheel off and take the other one off. And before you know it, you're freestyling it. And at this point, I don't even think about what I'm going to say. I literally am just trying to have a conversation with the client on the phone. And at first it's tough because you're like, oh my God, I'm lost. But trust me, guys, you do this 20, 30, 40, 50 times. You're gonna just have a conversation with the client. Hey, what's up? What are you looking for insurance? Well, I'm gonna be that guy or I'm gonna be that girl. Like you now have an insurance person. Okay. And that's what you want. Even if they don't buy from you, they now have an insurance guy and they're on their phone.
All right. Well, hey guys, again, drop some comments in there down below. Thank you for joining us, Oscar. And we will talk to you soon.